What's going on, everyone? Let's talk about the 8 signs you are not ready to buy a house. And this is the thing. Everyone keeps wondering, am I ready? Am I ready? Here's a video about the signs you are not ready to buy a house.
So here's an unpopular take, but I gotta say this. If you're someone who is drowning in credit card debt, you got student loans, and you're barely making those payments, you shouldn't even be thinking about buying a house.
Signs you're not ready to buy a house together. The number one sign you're not ready to buy a house together is you guys have no idea what the other one's credit score is, no idea how much they make, and no idea how much money they have in their account.
And here's the thing. I bought plenty of houses, and the biggest thing I can tell you is it all depends on your situation. And what was the first sign? Is you don't have a down payment. While certain programs help you with the first time home buying for your down payment, but if you do not have a down payment, it is not time for you to buy a house.
Is it possible to buy a house without a down payment? Yes, the most common way is using a VA loan, but that's only available to veterans. There are other ways for civilians to buy houses without down payments. Usually that's in the form of a grant or a down payment assistance program. There are usually limits. There's income limits. So if you make too much money, too high over $100,000, if your credit's not quite high enough, you may not qualify.
Yes, you can find ways to get it, and you can do it without worry. Yes, you can buy it without a down payment. You have programs with zero down, but the average person do not get the VA loan that requires zero down. But you remember, you still have to pay money at closing. You might have to pay 10, 12.
Saxon says the wife and I are looking to buy in the next few months. What's a good rule of thumb for estimating closing costs? Depends on your area. Honestly, if you want like exact numbers, if you're working with someone already, like your agent or whatever, have them send like a closing cost settlement of like a recent closing in your price range.
1,000 at closing, depending on your situation. So if you have no money for down payment, even with zero down, you might not be able to afford the down payment, or closing costs. So you still have costs when you go to close. So if you don't have a down payment, means you don't have the money to close on the house. So you're not ready. And then number 2, you're struggling to even get a pre-approved. If you can't get pre-approved for your house or your mortgage, you are not ready. You need to go and fix your credit. And that's the thing you need to understand. If you're struggling to get a pre-approval, you are going to struggle to get it to pass during the 30-day, 45-day window on the closing of the house. So you need to remember how much you can reasonably afford to pay for your house. And if you can't even get a pre-approval or you're struggling, you have to go to multiple places, it's not time for you. What you need to go do if you're struggling to get a pre-approval, maybe you do have a down payment, you might have to go pay off some debt and fix your credit before you can come back and look at this. Because you might have a good job, you might have everything set up, but your credit might be shot, and this is the time you need to fix it if you have a down payment. So let's say you have a down payment, you got a pre-approval. What else can happen to you? Your career isn't stable. And here's the thing. It's not a good time if you are worried about a job loss, if you just got laid off, or your income is not stable due to the job loss. So you maybe have a good idea on what you can afford. You have your down payment, but it is not recommended if your career isn't stable. Like if you're on a contract and you don't know if you can get renewed, you might be a 1099 employee and you don't know if they're going to continue using you. So you need to find a stable career before you buy the house. Because if you lose your career and you rely on that to pay for your mortgage, you will end up losing the house, and it's not a good time for you to buy a house. Now, yes, if you do have a stable career, what's the other thing you have to worry about is your income isn't consistent. Now, this is a red flag, and let's say you are a business owner and you have a stable career and that is owning this business, but your business isn't stable. And this is big in my field is when I own my business, my income will jump from $10,000, $15,000 one month, sometimes even 20,000, and then other months to $1,000, $2,000, and that is not a stable income. So you need to make sure you have a consistency so you can afford the payment. Because if I went and got a mortgage for a house that was $8,000 a month, which some people do have this, and I'm relying on getting $20,000 every month, well, it's not going to be stable if my income one month is $1,000. So what you want to do is make sure if you own your own business, you need to set a goal. Say, okay, my consistent pay on the average for the whole year is $5,000. So that's how much I can afford to pay for a house, because you have to make sure your income is consistent month to month. So, and that's for people with side hustles. I tell you, do not include your side hustle because you don't know if it's going to last or how long. And if you need that to pay for your house or mortgage, it's not a good thing. And the next step or the next one is you're rushing to get a deal. That's a very bad thing to do. Let's say you're ready to buy a house and it's just you believe you never get a better deal. And here's the thing. Buying a house is a very big investment. Maybe your wife is pregnant. Maybe you're moving into the area. You don't want to get an apartment and you're rushing to buy the house. Well, here's the thing about it. You do not want to make a bad decision and end up costing you thousands of dollars. So if you're rushing, it is not a good time to buy a house. What you need to go do is go ahead and find a place to stay at for a few months and take your time buying a house. Buying a house is a way to save you money and to build up wealth. But if you're rushing it, it could cost you thousands, sometimes even hundred thousands. If you go into a bad flip and you find the foundation's bad, even though the pricing was good, you can run into major red flags like foundation issue, electrical needs to be changed out, roof needs to be changed out, or the house was flooded and it wasn't found, and you had to replace a bunch of sheetrocks because of molding in the house. All that stuff can happen when you rush into buying a real estate property. The other thing you need to worry about is you don't know what you want. Okay, if you don't know if you want a condo, a 3-bedroom house, a backyard, front yard, a pool, how many bath, you are not ready. If you have the money, you have a stable income, and you're not in a rush, and your career is stable, guess what? And you even got pre-approved. It's the 5 things before this, and you don't know what you want. It's not time for you to buy a house because you don't know what you want. You're just going around shopping, and here's the thing. Know what you want so you can narrow it down and not waste so much time on it. So if you don't know what you want, it's not a good time to buy. I knew exactly how many bedrooms I want, how many bathrooms I want, and right before I even started my home search. So once you know how many houses you have, you are ready. And the next one, you're not financially mature. And why do I say this? You could make good money. You could have the down payment. You can have the pre-approval. You can have everything ready for you. If you're not financially mature, you are not ready. It doesn't matter how old you are. You need to be mentally and financially mature to buy this house because it's a long-term commitment. So if you're going out still partying and blowing all your paychecks on drinking or going out having fun, going on vacation all the time and not really going by a budget, you're not financially mature. So you need to be financially mature because a lot of things can happen whenever you buy a house compared to living in an apartment. Apartments generally cheaper in some cases, but you can run into some major issues like a job loss, medical issues that can cause you a major tailspin. So make sure you have financially mature and you understand what you can be at, because A lot of young people are interested in travel and experience life and don't want to be tied down to a home and mortgage, and they rather just travel around. What's the point if you're going to spend 6 months, 8 months traveling and trying to experience all this stuff and have a mortgage at the same time? It's a waste of money. It's not a good time. So make sure you're financially mature and know that you are going to be there for a while and actually not going to be traveling or doing things like that, so that you understand what you're going to do with your life. And lastly, number 8, you're too focused on how much house you can buy. At this point, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter if you are approved and how much. It matters in looking at your books. The banks will give you a pre-approval with a large amount number that will make you house poor. And if you're looking at how much you can afford on a house, how to maximize it, here's the thing. It's setting up you for failure. You're going to end up being house poor. You need to focus on what you can comfortably pay every month. If you get a pre-approval for $400,000 and you can go to the bank and say, okay, I'm approved for $400,000, and you don't do the numbers and figure out how much it's really going to cost you, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be house poor. You're going to have issues with car payments, possibly food, electric, water. You might be able to afford the house, the mortgage, but everything else that comes with the house is very expensive. Usually if you buy a house, the electric bill is higher, the water bill is higher, the insurance is there. These are things you need to factor in. So if you're focused on how much house you can buy, you're gonna fail or failure. And those are the 8 things if you are not, if those are the 8 things if you are not ready to buy a house. And just think about it. If you don't have the down payment, that means you don't have the closing costs. Closing costs, it can be pretty expensive. You're struggling to get a pre-approval. That means your credit is not good. Your career isn't stable. Number 3, that means, guess what? You don't know if you're going to have a job. It's no point of continually looking for a house because you might lose your job. Number 4 is your income is inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get paid month to month. Then you're not going to be able to afford it, even though you have a good income yearly. If it's not stable, you're going to put yourself in a bad situation. And if you're rushing to get in a deal, you're going to make a bad deal. Number 5, you don't know what you want. And if you don't know what you want while you're shopping, number 6, number 7, you're not financially mature. You're not ready to buy a house. And number 8 is you're too focused on how much house you want to buy, and you're going to overspend and end up house poor. So like and subscribe to my video, and that's all I got for you.